everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on parallel compression, which is one of my favorite mix techniques. It's one of those things that just brings life to a lot of different tracks, especially percussive and rhythmic type tracks, which is what's my favorite to use it on. I'll show you a few examples here. First things first, I want to note, for those of you who use Reaper, or even those who don't, you may realize that Reaper looks a little bit different than it normally does, or how it did on my past video. I loaded up a theme. It's the White Tie Imperial theme. I'm going to have a link to the download for that in the description, and probably, if I'm not lazy, throw one up here in the video as well, because you can see right here as I switch over, it's got a really beautiful look to it. Makes it a lot of fun to mix, and just having that console vibe kind of helps get the vibe going sometimes. So it's something I would recommend at least taking a look and checking out. So for today, I'm talking about parallel compression. And what parallel compression is where you take a track and duplicate it and compress it alongside and play it with the original track to add thickness and character. And there's a few other things you can do to manipulate it, and there's a few ways around setting that up in Reaper, which I'm going to show you. So the easiest, and what I'll show you here first off, I've got this track going that I've been working on. It's what I'm going to be releasing here in a week or two as a guitar lesson or a backing track or something. But here's the kick drum track from this. I'll play that for you. So you can hear it's got a pretty good sound. Now let me play it in the mix in context with everything else. So I'm pretty happy with the tone of the kick drum. I just feel like it's not quite cutting through the mix exactly like I want it to. And that's usually where I'm going to pull in something for parallel compression to add some thickness, and it adds some punch to it that really helps it cut through the mix. So I'm going to play it for you with the parallel compressed kick, and then I'm going to show you how I set it up and how I built it. So here it is with the parallel compressed kick added. Now out. Now back in. So if you can hear what it's doing right there, it really kind of thickens up that kick drum and it really brings it around. So let me show you what I got going on this, and then I'll show you, well, first let me show you how to build it. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Reaper, let me show you around here. You've got your main track here that my kick drum is on. You can see that right here. Then I've got this secondary track that this is what we're using for the parallel compression. Now the way to get it to it is you can hit the IO dialog on the kick track here, bring that up. That brings your IO dialog, and you can see right here I have a send to parallel compress kick. If you're going to be building that yourself, you would just click on sends right here, click parallel compress kick and send, and now it's there ready to go. You had a couple other different options that you can do that would send it. Basically, if you wanted to bypass the processing on the kick drum before you send it to the parallel compressor, you could do that. Or if you want to send it before you do any fader movements, I personally usually like to leave it on post fader. But that's the first and easiest way to go around, or one of the main ways to go around it. The easiest way to do it is if you don't have a send built here, all you got to do in Reaper is grab the IO, click it and hold it down and drag it down to the track that you want to send it to, and it will create that send. I kind of goofed and hit my right click there, so let me rebuild that so you can see it a little more cleanly. So I'm going to grab this IO and bring it down here, and it drops and immediately brings up that parallel compression. The third way to do it, and this is my least favorite, but if you need some visual cues to see what you're doing, it can be a little bit more useful, is to ignore the send. So for now, we're just going to delete that send, and you can just grab the track here, copy and paste it down, and now you have a second track doing the same thing. Visually, I kind of prefer having the empty track and using the send, but that's what's nice about this program, is there's a lot of different options, so whichever way you like doing it is the way you can do it. So here, let me pull up the parallel compression chain and show you what we got going on here. First things first, I'm going to show you the kick drum by itself again. Now here's the parallel compressed kick, just by itself without the original kick drum. And if you can tell, it's really held back. It's really controlled by the compressor. And I'll pull up what I got going on here plugin wise. I'm using a LA3A, one of the Waves plugins, with quite a bit of gain and a whole lot of peak reduction. So it's really clamping down on that thing and really holding it down. I like the gain reduction on my parallel compressed track because it adds a little bit of almost distorted quality to them that I feel really enhances the original track a lot as well. So the other thing I got going on here is a little bit of equalizer. And I like this because it basically lets you EQ a couple specific frequencies in. And I think I'm boosting on 100 on the main kick drum. Then I'm going in and adding some 50 cycles here on the parallel compressed track, which is nice because it just gives it a really good thickness that I really enjoy on that. And then boosting up at 12.5 just to give it a little bit of clickiness to cut through the mix. And that's what really helps it kind of carve through that bass guitar, especially on a track like this where I got a fairly distorted bass guitar sound going on. So if you can see here, let me solo out my kick and I'll bring it in and out. You can hear what it does. And the funny thing about parallel compression is that you almost don't even notice what it's doing when it's by itself. I'll show you what I mean here. So if I were to leave it muted and now bring the parallel compressed kick in as well with it, you can hear the level come up a little bit. You hear a little bit of more harmonic content in there since I'm boosting it 50, and also with compressing it so hard that brings in a few extra harmonics, which really help thicken the track up. And then you put it in context with everything else. And now in. So once again, one of my favorite tricks, especially with kick drums. You can see I'm doing the same exact thing here with my snare drum. I've got a snare drum track going. And then a parallel compressed one as well. And then when you run them together. A lot of times I'll take this trick and I'll apply it to a bass guitar. I like it on vocals. And one of the other things that I really love it for, and one of the common uses you'll see it for, is for an entire drum bus. You just take all the drums, sum them together, and then send them to a compressor. Just smash the crap out of them with whatever your favorite compressor is, and then run that side by side along with all the other tracks. And you get this really fat, almost roomy drum sound that is how I would describe it a little bit. So experiment with this with your drum sounds. And keep an eye out because this track's going to be coming out, and I'd love to see some of you guitar players throw down some leads over the backing track. Take it easy.